Okay, we are back. It's been kind of a while since I've done this, actually. I had to take a long period of break to do some lecturing at a university here in Denver, talking about video games, sound effects, and music. So that was pretty all-consuming. I would have much rather been sketching, so I'm glad to be back, but I'm also a little bit like, what does it all mean right now? Like, where is everything? My mind has been out of the sketch zone for a while, which kind of sucks. It's not a great thing to have happen. So okay, cool. Well, at least we got some video. We can try and make some sounds that'll match that, and maybe play with. I was thinking today playing with a couple of VSTs. There's always phase plant and God, the VCV rack. Had a lot of fun with that before, so. Yeah, maybe I'll just get started by doing some, maybe just kind of randomly dropping some notes in there. Sometimes I just like mindlessly do things and then sort of feed off of that and try and shape things from that. So for this, I was actually not really hearing a melody, but more so like little pulses. Crackles, textures. We've also got some things in here we could bust out. Heck, why not? There's all these racks that had been made a long time ago, and just tons of stuff, tons of starting points there. So maybe we'll get this tonal thing over here. Hypno chimes. Let's move it over into the sketch projects. All right, instruments. No, sound generators. Yep. I'm getting lost in my own home. It happens when you're getting old and going senile like myself. Yeah. Gotta stay humble. Might as well just speak the truth. All right. Let's see what kind of... Okay. Wanting to do two things at once. Both halves of my brain are on a rampage at the same time. Let's drop this in. And let's see what we get here. Ooh, that's kind of nice. I actually remember making this now that I hear it. It was from one of these old improv sketches that I did so long ago, 2013, maybe 2014. Improv sketch was something I wanted to do a lot more, but ultimately I ended up only doing maybe 4 of those. All right, done. Got an ambient song. That's it. Shortest sketch ever. I mean, sometimes you're going to do sketches that really literally only last 30 minutes or less. There's no shame in that. Hey, better than nothing, honestly. You know, if you got kids, if you got a really demanding job, you know, it's like even 30 minutes a day is still plenty. You know, and if you can console yourself to just doing drones or ambient, then you're going to be a happy camper, just because it's, I think, a lot easier to do this kind of music. Of course, having some starting off points like this definitely helps. All right, so where was I going with these little crackles here? I'm not even sure. I think max effects were one thought I had. Maybe we'll try the fragulator on that, and let's pull this into our group there. As always, just gotta move knobs around and take a listen and see where that takes you. Now, one thing I like to do if I get a set of knobs just so, I mean, you can obviously group it and make a preset now in Live 11. That's the best way to sort of experiment. I've also like duplicated things, muted the original, and then messed with the second version. So if I end up screwing it all up, I can always just delete that and go back to the original one. Sometimes I'll literally just hit duplicate. Multiple times to see what several effects in a row of the same settings sounds like. It's a very subtle crackle sound, you know, but with this many effects in a row, it's almost like, yeah, your best bet is to probably get a looper, record some of that in there, and then get rid of all this stuff that's taking up so much CPU. Let's try a Fragulator over here. Oh, instant garbage. Sometimes that's what you want. Sometimes you're looking for that grit, that like broken radio, broken cable kind of sound. I mean, that's so transformative. Of course, you know, using that much CPU, you know, with a sound this simple, it's like there's no real reason to, I mean, this would be an interesting way to like end a track, you know, if you had a piece like this just sort of playing and you could slowly fade in this noise until it just gets consumed by the void of noise. And then you just hit the mute button. And that's the end of the song. That's the thing I love about ambient music. There's, you know, only so many I mean, there's a million sub-possibilities, but like as far as composition, you know, you can have a song that fades in and slowly fades out. You could just have it start on and then fade out. You know, you could, there's like only so many ways to do like the global composition moves with ambient music and drone music, in my opinion. Many would argue with me that there's an infinite number of, well, yeah, there's all kinds of subtle ways and nuances in that sort of fading in and fading out. Just a little bit of grit that thing is adding. So we'll leave that in there. I don't know about all three of these though. I don't think we need all three of those. One will do. Well, I feel like it matches with this, this blobular video, which is something I recorded off of a website I found. I think it's cable.gl or something like that, and you can create your own visuals using a Max MSP style connect the lines, connect the modules type of, it's a website, and you can build all these crazy visuals that are reactive to like MIDI or audio, all in your browser, all in Chrome. It's crazy. And it's, of course it's free, and people are sharing out their creations, so you can open it up and manipulate the numbers a little bit inside there and, you know, make your own version of it. Of course, you know, like I do, just video capture me playing with it with the mouse. It's pretty fun. All right, let's see about a beat. What are these? What are these? I think I pulled these in at one point and we never really used them. Just some free presets I found online. Alright, let's pitch down an octave on the MIDI keyboard. Basic. It's got the things tuned very strangely. We got these two are on the black keys. Yeah, it's really odd. I guess we could just move these around here. Cool. Let's just try that motif out, and I'm not set on it, but it's kind of an interesting pattern. Right, I'll just take these two. Really love this button right here, this feature. So when you start playing, it just auto records your MIDI notes. So useful. It's a genius move right there, Ableton. As much as I like to gripe about Ableton and all of its stupid bugs. All right, let's try a few of these other sounds in here. But we don't get the same. We can sidestep this stupid tuning. And because I'm feeling all these are going to use this, and easiest way is to, you could use the chord. Actually, yeah, I mean, since there's only so many of these, let's just go ahead and use the chord. Let's see. Oh no, this is going to take one note, so we want to reroute notes basically, which is tricky. So I need to take this one and tune. Oh, we're using this one, so we want to take this one and tune it up to, so from here to here. Yep. And then let's create a chain that lets the original two go through. This is kind of dirty, but we're gonna get through this together, folks. All right, now let's try to tune up to here. Yep, looks like we did that. And then let's see, we got one there, so here. And now we need to tune up one, I think. So cool. Now they're all firing off, and we've got our little router doohickey. Now it looks like we can try to randomize some of this stuff too. Kind of like that one. So again, we can, if we want, we can group this. We can duplicate this chain here. We can turn this one off. So like, I like that setting. And then I can try some of these others. Because if I set up presets and then I change to one of these other I guess presets here, these aren't going to have the built-in rack, the new presets, so those will get erased, which is why we want to keep this original one around. If you're wondering, I'm sure that 1.5 persons that will watch this are like, not a clue. Why would you even... I wish we could just jump through these now. So I got a feeling all of these have the same settings, and we're just changing these around. Right. So what we can do here, now that we have both of these, I mean, we can switch them on and off, so we could go between a series of sounds and settings. Let's put an auto filter in and just animate the cutoff a little bit. Going to create some motion. get some motion. It's what makes tracks fun and interesting to listen to. This one turned out nice. So let's try something. Let's try moving this chain here. That way they're not both playing at the same time, and we can map the chain here to this button. Nifty. Now let's try this, let's try to make another one, and we'll pull this chain up to 3. And hopefully we can get a cool sound out of this. Sometimes with the random, you know, I'm often surprised by the cool sounds that end up coming out of it, and then sometimes I'm like, all right, let's just start over, move on. Really wish there was some extra live thing that would scan through the presets in here, and maybe there's a way to do it. I've never seen that before. Alright, let's get another one going. Use our arrow keys this time, much easier than mousing that little piece there. Let's hide this. Let's get more cutoff going here, more low pass. All right, rinse and repeat. Let's do 19 on this one. And move this up to, oops. I guess we're on 3 there. We could change adjust this to be 1 through 4. And then all we have to do is select all of these, use our arrow keys, and we can move the whole thing up one. That way this is like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's somewhat interesting. Okay, now let's get these scanning through the various presets. Thank you. Now it's just kind of, it's just jumping around, and you can see here it's whichever one this thing happens to stop on. Doesn't look like it's playing this one very much, so maybe we can do a few things in here that are just curving, so it'll catch that one on the curve. Tricky stuff. It's fun to, it's fun little puzzles, if you ask me. I prefer a good challenge. Keeps it interesting, keeps it fun, and from getting too boring too quick. Alright, now I like this beat repeat thing. You know, I never used beat repeat hardly at all before this whole sketch journey that we have embarked on. Just have to hope we don't hit a beat repeat preset that's annoying or sounds cheesy or too like lo-fi video game. At least that's not what I'm feeling right now. Now let's get our filter jammer in there. Using one of my favorite VSTs of all time, the Audio Thing Filter Jam. Free and amazing. Alright, drum bus, also one of my favorites. Just, you know, Ableton is made for a lot of times music that is very beat oriented, so you know it's crazy to me that it took them 10 versions to actually get an effect like drum bus in there. Let's give the Fragilator a shot in here. So maybe it sounds stupid, but all right. What I need to do here is consolidate this. Not sure if that's a thing with mini clips. Let's right click. Can we crop it? Yes. Beautiful. Alright, let's start doing some automation craziness. Very strange beat, but you know, it's got some interesting features, and I guess that's really at least what I strive for in music production, is trying to make sure the music at least has some interesting features that makes it worth somebody's while. They're not going to get that 3 to 5 minutes back, so you know, life is precious. And might as well make it worth someone's time. I think it's fun to actually be challenged to try and make music that is interesting. At least 1 to 2 cool features per song. Easier said than done, but it's a good goal to strive for, that is for sure. Cool, let's automate that. Nope. Lost. It's been a while since I've messed with Ableton, honestly. It's like riding a bike, but well, that was not the one I wanted to grab and record, but oh well. So be it. Alright, let's get this one. And now that I've sat with Filter Jammer, I'm thinking we need to automate some more of those knobs there. Let's get in on this one. I am noticing here that because we are using a drum rack, my auto hotkeys are not being put in the right place because we've got this thing pushed out a little bit farther, which is a bit annoying, but what can you do? Definitely some nerd world problems right there. Cool. I don't know if this is, you know, just what I want, but let's just sit with it. Sometimes you just gotta make some bold moves as non-destructively as you can and just sit with that. Do like some of these sharp little sounds popping out. Now let's give it a bit of a boost in the high end. Want to get a compressor on this. I think it's great to have these pre-built things ready to go in case you are like me right now and a little out of the practice. Let's see, we want to come from... Oh wow, okay, yeah, we did have a lot of presets in there. Let's do post mixer on this one. No, post effects, that way we can adjust this and it won't affect our side chaining. Post mixer is after this. Alright, you're like, shut up, we all know that. Shut up. Alright, what happened with our little glitch clicks? Definitely hearing some really intense notes right there that I think we can just pull down a little bit. You know, in sketching, I think good sketching sound-wise is a little bit mixing and a lot of it creativity, but you still gotta you gotta get the mix right because, you know, you're sketching for an hour, 30 minutes to 2 hours, and, you know, you want to make sure that thing sounds good to you along the way. Sometimes you just want to not worry about the mix and just try to have just the most creative fun you can, but if the mix sucks, you know, honestly, it's going to be hard, I think, to really focus. All right. Now I'm a bit curious. Pull this in, we'll get our little filter thing that we made just for these cheesy racks. Alright, let's try to see what an arpeggiator might do now. This beat loop here is not adhering to the 120, or like it's just kind of running on its own. So I'm curious how these will interact. Let's do random once. Almost kind of like the interplay between this one that's formal and quantized, and this one is just kind of running on its own. They crisscross, they do interesting polyrhythmic stuff. Okay, so let's get this one set to we'll just make it 10 even. Very aleatoric kind of beat, but which is not for everyone, but I find them fascinating. They tickle my brain in just the right ways. Wow, things are sounding definitely like super crusty in that kind of digital crust way that Ableton, it's its signature sound. And now I guess MSP, that part of Max MSP, the audio DSP part, is it's just I guess the noise generators are just lo-fi or some kind of lo-fi. I know in 20 years when supercomputers are just like the norm and everybody's running these super high-end, pristine sounding, everything's gonna be so pristine sounding. It sound like this old Ableton garbagey sound is gonna be like, people are gonna want to go back to that vintage crust. Yeah, that like 2020s digital. Not really the notes I'm looking for, but we can always kind of play with some MIDI effects and try and perform this. Maybe a scale, so we can just take one note and shift it if we need to. This is honestly the only way I know how to really tune a scale, is just to let notes play through it and try to get things kind of sounding the way I want. Kind of a mysterious little, I mean, I don't like this sound per se, but at least with this octave up here, I can hear all these notes and make good decisions. Maybe too video gaming, too playful. Let's turn this off for now. Let's get our probability gate going. And what about a bass thing? Fragulator also brings a lot of that really obvious lo-fi kind of sound, that classic obvious Ableton, which, you know, honestly, when run through house speakers or like at a club or something, no one is going to notice. And I think they fashioned this in a way, in my opinion, to kind of work that way, at least in the beginning. It was such a performance tool that, you know, was made to be really efficient on really slow, crappy computers. You could play it live. Version 1.0, I remember using that one live, and it was really stable. I didn't have any other softwares at the time that were quite as stable to use in the live performance way. And some of like the sound, the initial gritty sound just never went away. It's like they just stuck with their guns on that, for better or for worse. But in my own personal music, I tend to love the mix between a lot of VSTs and some of the Ableton ones. I think that you can get a good balance where, you know, obviously for these sketches we're kind of focusing in. It's just easier that way. I think it makes, there's so much you can do with just the Ableton ones as we've explored and seen here in these sketches, but I also feel like using only Ableton and Max for Live stuff together, it can sound really particular in a way, especially with a lot of, I will say the analog, you know, what comes out of that is also really, they did a pretty good job with that one. The noise section on that does sound really nice, but almost like a vocal sound coming out of this. I think we want to straighten some of these. So some are straight and others are not. Okay, let's do our classic cheap trick move of getting some tremolo in there to kind of help modulate things so they're not so happening so often. And you get the AM effect when you really push the rate. You can tune it almost. I kind of like that in this case. I guess having sat with this hypno chime thing, it's not exactly. So let's just play with this. We can do a thing where we also automate the wet and dry of it, so we're not getting just this effect the whole time. So now let's keep that up for now, and I'm gonna I think this tremolo has a certain crusty digital tone to it. Not always the best when used at these really extreme settings. But I use it all the time, usually with a lot of VSTs after it, to sort of mask some of the obvious Ableton-ness of it. Not enough runway on this one. Sometimes you need really short automation loops, but in this case, we want something that's more long and evolving slowly. And now that I'm listening to this bass line, I kind of want to hear like a more sloppiness on there. You know, this is like a song is reminding me of like a drunk private eye robot. He's just kind of stumbling through these alleys. Getting a real weird vibe from this one. All right, humanizer, that's what we need. Let's make sure we get the one from our project. I think it's this one, but let's double check. We can always tell by, oh, crashy crash. All right, we'll be back. Okay, we are back. Yeah, it would be a sketch exploration without some random crash. That's kind of a classic move. Classic Ableton Max for Live. I swear. Okay. Let's fingers are crossed. Now, this is not the one. I think it's maybe the first one is the one that is in our project. Yes, R drive. Okay, cool. I definitely want to like mess with that. I'm going to mess with you, you knob. Sometimes you just gotta, you know, get in the zone, get in the mindset of the character that the song is sort of portraying. In this case, that drunken gumshoe robot cyborg. You know, he just got dumped by some cyber dame, and he's just, you know, I feel like we could just make this so much more psychedelic to fit that narrative. Gumshoe. What kind of word is that? I'll look up the etymology for that one. All right, so now I feel like these clicks are not really doing much. Let's put a boost on them. And let's try to make a tonal I kind of like some of that, the tonal percussiveness. So let's get this set up. All right, and then this one as well. This is another favorite technique of mine. I don't really employ something like this crazy kind of EQ abuse. Yeah, not really. I don't do this much with the off-the-sky, the ambient thing. Oftentimes, it doesn't really make sense in that context. That kind of music lends itself to slower automation movements. But for these kinds of sketches of doing some really expressive sounding funniness, this kind of a technique I like to do a lot. Of course, until we crash. We pulled through, yay! It was a close one, folks. Now I'm curious what a vocoder is going to do on this hypnochimes layer, and if we pull sound from try the analog, the base layer. This is definitely the breakdown of the song. Gave me an idea. Yep. Okay, so I'm gonna have this wet dry fade on, but only like every so often, kind of make a breakdown happen like once every 3 minutes or so. Drunken, sloppy knob movements. Which is definitely a thing in Britain after a certain hour of the night. And of course, here in America and the rest of the world as well. Not so much these days, but oh, hey, what the heck? I thought that we had prepared this. We need more than just 2 measures there. Sometimes the randomness doesn't work in your favor. Sometimes you'll record a knob for a minute and then you get in there and you realize, holy crap, I was not doing it right. That is the life of the robot gumshoe who is just seen better days. Okay, so let's make this one like 267. So if we start, from 0, then only around this zone are we going to get this breakdown. It's mysteriously coming out of nowhere. And, if we were tracking this out on the timeline, we would want to also have something else kind of, we could have like a cheesy, goofy sounding analog, just a couple of cheesy, peasy chords. So one thing we could do to make this happen at the same time as this, crazy thought, is we could route this hypnochimes and this cheese right here. We'll just rename this cheese. We can reroute them through a track, both of them. So we'll group them, subgroup, transition, and we'll put this, how are we going to do this? I had some crazy idea. So I'm thinking what we do here is we don't need our group. I'm thinking madness. Let's group this Oh no, wait, we can't do this on a MIDI track. We have to have an audio thing come through here. So, okay, so in this clip here, we're gonna make this one 267. And we're gonna route both of these through this one, so that when we hit that point where we lose our hypno chimes, we also hear this. And how are we going to do that? That is a really good question. I haven't fully hashed it out yet. So, cheese. So in here we're going to have both this and also the, we're going to duplicate this, and instead of cheese we'll pull this from Hypno Chimes. And let's copy this here. And we'll paste it in here. First, let's move this. I'll just, for now, make a copy of it. And let's automate this here. Not much runway. Cool. So we'll shut this off for now. Okay, so we have both cheese. This is the chimes. Cheese and chimes. Yep. Cool. And then we're going to make another chain here and pull straight from our chimes. And let's of these. Okay, and so this one we will drag out. And we need to reroute these. This is some real nuttiness. Kids, don't try this at home. We're gonna sins only on those. So now these two are routing into here. Cheese and Hypno Chimes. So let's map this lane here to this knob. So now when we want to transition, we can just push this up. And our chimes has this pulling from 9 analog. And that's only going to happen right up here for, let's see how long this is. $18 at 120 is approximately, roughly, let's see. Well, let's see, when we mouse over this, it's supposed to tell me, maybe because these are being controlled, looks like 18 is somewhere around there. Duration 33 seconds, so that's cool. Let's do a hard on. That sounded bad. Let's have this turn on briskly. Maybe we shall put it that way. Okay. And if we need to work on this to just, you know, perfect our transition cheese, we can just easily just pull this up. And then when we want to reset it back to being controlled by our automation, we just hit this button here. This will be dry, goes on to wet. All right, cool. I think that kind of, this cheese is just, you know, I guess we can also just do effects in here. Let's get a little, I want to tight reverb. It's goofy. Get the drunken LFO. The noise 2 is kind of our drunk LFO. I do feel like we could. I'm just jumping around here. All right, let's. Now that I'm here on this bass, we need some faster notes in there. All right. Not such a high amount on the LFO, maybe just 1.5. Cool. Now let's fix this. And I just remembered I need to clean this up. Makes for a much smaller file size since I'm trying to do some craziness and pack them all in this one zip file for everybody. I try to keep everything lean and mean. Normally when but also I think it just ultimately sounds better when you have these smooth curves, you know. I wish it would automatically just smooth things out every time, but that is no longer in the options text file that you can edit for Ableton. It no longer works. That thinning aggressiveness, I think, is what it was called in previous. All right, cool. So we hit this button and we lost our cheese. Let me just make sure the cheese transition. I can already tell that this is a setup here with all this crap that, like, if I come back to this project after, oh, I don't know, even a couple weeks, I might not even know what's going on in here. This might be really hard to, like, sometimes it's hard to find, you know, where you're routing audio when you're using these gates and side chains and stuff. Not for the faint of heart. All right. At least something off of 120. Such a cop out. All right, 120 is it's a beautiful tempo. Not very simple. It matches the clock on the wall. All right. Let's get some faster bass bits. Coolness. Okay, I think I like that. And I don't think it really matters if these are on the tip, you know, right, quantized, because we've got this thing going on anyway that's throwing stuff off. Pretty cool. We really want to get tacky with the whole stupid gumshoe thing. We could throw one of these in there and get some noise. I'm sure you know where this is heading. Ourselves a sweet old arpeggiator and get some swing in there. Cool. And I think I want to have this only turn on every so often. So what we need to do is essentially, we could do several ways. We could group these and only turn on the instrument every so often, or we could, let's just drop this in here. We could, let's see, we'll group that. We don't need this. Now we have a group, and we can, let's set this to mute. And let's set this to 129, let's just say. And we'll turn it off every so often. Cool. And we'll let overlay out in here some longer lengths of that stupid thing. All right, what kind of effects can we do on here before we call it a day on this? Yes, there's any number of like messing around with the tempo that we could do to just really weird it up. We could drop in like, you know, really sort of dramatic global effects. Our old tape echo is always a fun family favorite here. Now that I've really pushed the volume up, I'm going to pull it down a little bit so that my voice doesn't get totally killed by it. I really should get a compressor or sidechain thing going on here, like any good, reasonable video caster. But again, I think I've made it somewhat clear along the way that I am really just trying to do the crappiest job with these videos as possible. Hey, spend more focus on making the actual sounds. Am I right? I think that's what's most important, is who cares how it looks, but how does it sound? That's what's most important. Yeah, you really get that garbagey Ableton grit. After messing around a lot with a program like VCV Rack, the DSP in that is so pristine and gorgeous sounding. It's like hard to tell the difference between a physical modular system and it just sounds so good. You know, coming back to Ableton, everything sounds just kind of goopy, and like the noise sections are really like, I don't know, just a little bit gross. But then, you know, you can have a ton of effects and keep your CPU down, whereas if it's VCV Rack, you can really destroy your CPU pretty quick. So I think there is definitely something to be said for better DSP, makes for a much better sound. But you can also get some really crazy sounds out of Ableton too, if you can stack enough effects like we do, and then, you know, I also want to put a side chain on this bass from the beat. Let's pull that down a little bit. And we'll put this before our tremolo so that our tremolo is not affecting this. When you turn up the volume and listen to something a lot louder, I think it's interesting to do the mix with it kind of quiet, and then you push the volume up 6 decibels or so, and you can really hear a lot of ideas of things that need to be fixed or changed. Like, for example, I'm hearing this like hi-hats coming off of this, the operator and stuff sounds just like, I really want to clean that up somehow. Like, one idea being the old school chorus, the hypno chimes, this tremolo is like a little too intense, you know? So we could do a thing where we bust out our custom wet and dry box, drag the tremolo inside of that, and then we only have this kind of extreme tremolo thing turn on every now and then. Yeah, let's give ourselves a lot more runway on that. Ah, there's our nutty transition showing its head naturally. Didn't see that one coming. Yeah, we need this chorus effect to only happen when this transit cheese occurs, and the only way to do that is to get the same routing with the beats here. Which is that is some goofy sounding stuff coming off of that chorus there. Let's put in another tremolo, but slower. And then get a delay in there. And let's just maybe pull the volume down to this. Oh yeah, it doesn't matter because we're routing through here. So if we want less volume on that, we have to pull it down here. Or we could just as easily put a gain effect here. Okay, so back to the beats. The EQ3 makes for a good crossover multi-band effects situation. Very easy to set up. We can just do low, medium, and high. So now we've only got, let's get a couple of these in a row. It makes the noise a little more resonant and a little less static and gross, like that Ableton. Yeah, I think I'm hearing besides I want to, automate that, I definitely could use, yeah, let's get some chorus going here. I guess there's ways to work around Ableton's shortcomings in terms of its grittiness. Okay. Let's just get rid of that scene. We don't want that. We don't need that in our lives. Very metal, very clean and pristine and shiny. I do appreciate this old school Ableton course they're trying to phase out. To make their projects backward compatible, I think this thing will always be available to use. Alright, cool. Let's definitely automate this, not out of that. Liking that kind of just expressionistic randomness. I'm hearing this thing a lot. I'm like thinking a high pass might be better. And let's play with the wet and dry on this. So we get some of that original noise through. Record label, Original Noise. Sounds like some real pretentious, experimental. I would be real surprised if there is not already a label called Original Noise. Alright, that one's popping up only once, ever so often. There we go. I mean, we got the multi-band thing going here. We could throw a pedal in on the mids. I'm not sure what that'll do. Maybe it'll be cool. Maybe we could make it work. Or we could just go crazy with this knob here and get some further interesting motion. Sound design is all about the motion. Still think that Hypnochime's drum is a little just too static, the same, repetitive. Like it needs something else in there. You know, we could experiment with all kinds of effects in here. Maybe this phaser flanger will do the trick. We could put a bunch of effects in here that only turn on every so often. Good old grain delay. Where did you go? Ah, I think I removed it from that filtered list because I have a hotkey for it now. It's all coming back. So let's pull this one before our phaser flanger. Let's pitch down to -12. Let's have a listen to that. That's nice. That adds a whole other vibe. And I'm just on a roll today, just wrecking the business. We'll just kind of have that one slowly fade in and out. So it'll just sort of slowly vacillate. So though we put a real slow LFO on this wet and dry parameter here. I'm curious what this cheese will sound like with our -12 effect in there. Probably, now that I'm thinking about it, not going to be super noticeable because we have the chimes running through this vocoder. I feel like I kind of got robbed on the cheese there. Could have lasted a lot longer, so maybe the transition cheese needs to, yeah, let's give it some more runway there. 33 seconds is not enough. All right, effects. I think that's the last stop. I always say that and then think of a million things to quote unquote improve. Can you really improve a piece of garbage like this? Just insanity. Okay, so let's go there. Let's try to see if we can. Yeah, no, we don't want that much runway for that particular param. I am gonna make the wet and dry though only fade on every so often. Get, I think, some really fun and interesting generative feel in the clip view here, the session view, by only turning on effects every so often. So if you're doing like a live set, you know, the trick is to, before you hit play, move this to some arbitrary number. You can just type in like 3, 4, 6, 7, hit enter, and then play, and it plays from that spot. And all of your, as we've discussed many times, your loops here are just going to start from whatever weird spot calculated from 0 to that point. So you're bound to get some strange and different things happening every now and then, especially if you have certain effects that only turn on every so often. You know, I mean, if you make a really long runway like this, you know, we're not going to hear this effect unless we set this playhead to 980. Let's try that. Let's yeah, and of course it doesn't do it. Okay, so let's hit stop, and then what, 980? Or let's, yeah, play from 0. I'm just yeah, bear with me. I'm going to see if this actually would work. You would think this will jump based on where this is at. $9.80. I mean, it kind of works. It's interesting. So what is it? If we start out at 980 and then push play, all these start from 1. That is interesting to note. Yes, okay, so we want to start at 0 and then push 980, and it will jump our all the way to the end. So really, we started this at what, 769, so that's what we want. So we start this over. Okay, that's good to know, because I think I've just been like touting 9, like just typing in some random thing and then pushing play, but it doesn't start your clip automation from a weird spot. It's only if after you've pushed play you do this thing. So we could push play and then stop, I think maybe, and then 980. Got you. So this way, then we hit push play to start our live set. And it doesn't do it. So maybe it's, let's see, we push play and stop. 960. Oh yeah, I keep hitting 980 and it's of course pushing my thing all the way to the end. Okay, and then push play. Stop play. Stop. Now you're just like, jeez, quit it. And then if we hit shift, I see. So once we hit stop, so you can see how I do things in the way of trying to figure out the behavior of things to be able to work it. So it's, you know, you can't hit stop then. It just ain't gonna work. So we hit space to stop. 920. Yeah, so can't push stop, it resets things. 910. There we go. But from there we can hit the shift space. Also, the name of my new club, Shift Space, where we're gonna just only play weird, stupid music like this. You're not allowed to play at shift space unless your tempo is got an LFO on it. Just make a bunch of weird rules for ourselves. Okay, cool. I think I'm about to call it quits. I've gone down some rabbit holes, and we have, you know, not made the best piece in the world, but it's definitely not the worst thing ever. Let's just turn this sucker on like every now and then. All right, cool. Shift space worthy. Well, yeah, I'm gonna call it, and until next time, you know, keep it shifty. Don't let those gumshoe robots get you down. See ya on the flip side.